The California night, once a tapestry of starry skies and the gentle hum of suburban life, had become a canvas of fear. For nearly 4 decades, a phantom stalked the Golden State, leaving a trail of shattered lives and unanswered questions. He was an architect of terror, a whisper in the dark, known only by the chilling moniker he'd earned, the Golden State Killer. His reign of crime, a brutal symphony of rapes, home invasion, and murders, had begun subtly, an insidious creep into the fabric of communities that once felt safe. Victims, their voices trembling with the echoes of unspeakable violation, spoke of an intruder who moved with preternatural stealth. He'd enter homes under the shroud of night, a silent observer whose presence was a prelude to unspeakable acts. He watched, he attacked, and then, as if swallowed by the shadows from which he emerged, he vanished. This spectral assailant, elusive as smoke, defied capture, leaving behind a legacy of trauma that spanned generations. The case itself became a testament to the enduring nature of unsolved mysteries, a gnawing persistence that haunted law enforcement agencies across California. Investigators, driven by a relentless pursuit of justice, grapple with the scant, often contradictory, evidence left in the killer's wake. The crime scenes, meticulously examined by a succession of dedicated officers, yielded fragments of a puzzle that no one could fully assemble. Early investigations relied on the nascent forensic techniques of the time. Shoe prints, often indistinct, offered some clues. Fingerprints, when recoverable, proved frustratingly unmatchable in existing databases. The sheer audacity and precision of the crimes, coupled with the killer's ability to evade detection, created a sense of pervasive helplessness. Each generation of investigators inherited the burden, poring over dusty case files, hoping for a breakthrough that always seemed just beyond reach, a phantom limb of justice perpetually aching. As the decades rolled on, so too did the technological landscape of forensic science. The primitive tools of the past gave way to more sophisticated methods, offering new hope in the fight against the Golden State Killer. The advent of DNA analysis, once the stuff of science fiction, presented the most promising avenue yet. Forensic teams collected genetic material from crime scenes, painstakingly preserving samples that held the potential to identify the perpetrator. However, the genetic profiles, while undeniably present, failed to yield a match within conventional criminal DNA databases. The killer, it seemed, had either never been caught for a prior offense or had managed to evade the digital net. This genetic dead end, coupled with the passage of time, threatened to relegate the case to the annals of cold, unsolved crimes, another tragic chapter in the state's history of terror. The silence of the databases was as deafening as the silence of the victim's fear. The sheer persistence of the case, the inability to connect the genetic dots, prompted a radical shift in investigative strategy. The traditional avenues had been exhausted. A new approach was needed, one that pushed the boundaries of both legal precedent and ethical consideration. Investigators, determined to break the decades-long stalemate, began to explore unconventional alliances. They recognized that the key to unlocking the killer's identity might lie not just in his own genetic code, but in the genetic codes of those connected to him by blood. This realization ignited a collaborative effort, uniting seasoned detectives with tenacious prosecutors and pioneering experts in the burgeoning field of genetic genealogy. The objective was audacious: to leverage publicly accessible DNA databases designed for personal ancestry research as an unwitting repository of familial connections to the killer. This innovative strategy, while holding the promise of breakthrough, was fraught with complex legal and ethical dilemmas. The notion of using genealogical databases, intended for tracing family histories and connecting distant relatives, to hunt down a violent criminal sparked intense debate. Questions of privacy rights, the informed consent of individuals whose genetic data was being utilized, and the very definition of acceptable investigative boundaries were thrust into the spotlight. Was an invasion of privacy to use someone's DNA, voluntarily submitted for personal reasons, to implicate a potential family member in heinous crimes? Where did the rights of the living end and the pursuit of justice for the victims begin? These were not simple questions, but profound ethical quandaries that had to be navigated with extreme care, acknowledging the potential for both immense good and significant harm. The path forward was uncertain, a tightrope walk between technological capability and civil liberties, with the ghosts of unsolved crimes urging them onward. The painstaking construction of extensive family trees from fragmented genealogical data demanded methodical, almost archaeological approach. Investigators, armed with sophisticated bioinformatics software, sifted through millions of genetic profiles. They were not searching for a direct match, but rather for a pattern of shared DNA segments that indicated familial relationships. This involved identifying individuals who shared a significant percentage of their DNA, then tracing those connections further back through generations, creating a branching network of potential ancestors. Now, consider how this applies when you face a massive, interwoven web of data. Each shared locus, each segment of DNA, represented a potential whisper from the past, a breadcrumb leading closer to the killer's lineage. The process was iterative. A distant cousin identified in one database would prompt a search for their known relatives in another, slowly, painstakingly, filling in the blanks of forgotten family history. This intricate genealogical detective work unearthed individuals whose genetic markers suggested a closer proximity to the perpetrator's family line. The sheer volume of data required the development of novel algorithms designed to process and visualize these complex relationships. Instead of a single, clear path, the investigators found themselves navigating a labyrinth of possibilities. They meticulously documented every potential familial link, cross-referencing information with historical records, census data, birth and death certificates, marriage licenses, to corroborate the genetic findings and place individuals within a temporal and geographical context. Furthermore, the methodology necessitated a deep dive into the privacy policies and terms of service of each genealogy platform, ensuring strict adherence to legal frameworks and ethical guidelines governing data usage. A critical layer of this investigation involved the careful selection and prioritization of leads. Not every shared genetic marker pointed to a relevant ancestor. Some represented commonalities across broader populations. The investigative team had to develop criteria for filtering these connections, focusing on those that showed a high probability of a direct lineage to the killer's family tree. This often meant identifying individuals who shared a specific set of markers with unusual frequency or who appeared in multiple, independent genealogical reconstructions. Conversely, genetic similarities that were too widespread were quickly disregarded, preventing the investigation from becoming mired in irrelevant data points. The process resembled piecing together a shattered mosaic, where each individual's DNA was a shard that, when placed correctly, revealed a larger, more coherent picture. Building on this, however, the sheer number of potential relatives presented a new challenge, the paradox of choice. Identifying a pool of potential suspects was only the first step. Narrowing it down required an even more granular level of analysis. Investigators began to focus on individuals within the identified family branches who possessed other correlating factors, similar geographical locations to the crime scenes, past residency in areas known for the killer's activity, or even anecdotal historical accounts of individuals with problematic pasts. This phase was characterized by painstaking biographical research, piecing together the lives of individuals who had long since passed from the public record, all to find that one ancestral thread that might lead to the present-day perpetrator. Consequently, what began as a purely genetic quest evolved into a multidisciplinary pursuit, blending cutting-edge science with old-fashioned detective work. Reflecting on this journey so far, the accumulated weight of persistent inquiry begins to manifest not as a burden, but as a sharpening clarity. We have navigated the intricate currents of a case that seemed designed to elude definition, a phantom that left behind more questions than answers for an agonizingly long time. The very air of apprehension that once permeated the state now seems to hold a different resonance, a low hum of anticipation rather than dread. The diverse threads of investigation, once disparate and seemingly unconnected, have begun to weave together, creating a pattern that suggests not just a solution, but a deeper understanding of the forces at play. The evolution of investigative methodology, from the rudimentary to the revolutionary, has served as a powerful lens through which to observe the relentless march of time and its impact on pursuit of truth. Concepts that were once considered futuristic have become integral tools, reshaping the very landscape of forensic science and its capacity to uncover hidden realities. This paradigm shift has not merely provided new methods, it has fundamentally altered the potential for resolution, transforming seemingly insurmountable obstacles into navigable pathways. The sheer magnitude of the challenge, coupled with the extraordinary lengths taken to confront it, has forged a unique narrative arc, one where perseverance is as critical as any technological advancement. As we pivot toward the final reflection, consider the cumulative effect of these disparate elements. The unwavering dedication of those who refuse to let the case fade, the ingenuity of those who push scientific boundaries, and the ethical considerations that guided their monumental task. It is akin to observing a vast, complex ecosystem where each organism, however small, plays a crucial role in the overall balance and ultimate health of the environment. The seemingly endless pursuit has, in a sense, been a process of environmental restoration, clearing away the debris of decades to reveal the underlying, unassailable truth that was always present, waiting to be uncovered. The intricate dance between human endeavor and technological innovation has brought us to the precipice of understanding, where the implications of the journey are as profound as the destination itself. The final revelation, a convergence of genetic whispers and relentless investigation, wasn't merely the capture of a perpetrator. It was a culmination of a generational quest for accountability. For decades, the Golden State Killer existed as a void, an absence of justice that festered in the collective consciousness of California. His presence was marked by devastation, his absence by an enduring silence. Now, that silence was being systematically dismantled, not by a sudden explosion of evidence, but by the quiet, persistent assembly of a familial lineage, a genealogical tapestry woven with the threads of shared DNA and painstaking human endeavor. The story of his apprehension is not just about DNA, but about the evolution of truth-seeking itself, about how human ingenuity, when coupled with unwavering dedication, can illuminate the darkest corners of the past. This narrative arc, spanning nearly 40 years, underscores a profound truth, that the pursuit of justice is an iterative process, a constant refinement of methods and a recalibration of possibilities. The journey from rudimentary forensic analysis to sophisticated genetic genealogy represents more than just technological advancement. It signifies a deepening understanding of how our past, encoded in our very biology, can inform the present. The ethical debates surrounding this new frontier of investigation are not roadblocks, but essential dialogues that ensure progress is tempered with principle, safeguarding the rights of the living while honoring the memory of the victims. The triumph here is not just in closing a case, but in forging a path forward that acknowledges both the power of new tools and the enduring importance of human oversight and ethical deliberation. The capture itself, a quiet arrest that echoed through the state, marked the end of a terrifying chapter, but not the end of the conversation. It served as a potent reminder of the immense cost of delayed justice, the indelible scars left on victims and communities when perpetrators remain at large. Yet, it also offered a beacon of hope, demonstrating that even the most elusive criminals can be brought to account through a blend of perseverance, innovation, and collaborative spirit. The true legacy of this case lies not just in the identification of Joseph James DeAngelo, but in the blueprint it has created for future investigations, a testament to the fact that no crime, no matter how cold, is truly beyond resolution. As the dust settles and the case files are archived, the implications ripple outward. The techniques employed, born of necessity and nurtured by expertise, have irrevocably altered the landscape of criminal investigation. The memory of the Golden State Killer will forever be intertwined with a narrative of scientific breakthrough and ethical navigation. This story is a testament to the enduring human spirit's capacity for both great darkness and profound resilience, a reminder that while shadows may linger, the pursuit of light, however long it takes, will eventually prevail. The true practice, the ongoing commitment to seeking truth and ensuring accountability in the face of evolving challenges, begins now.